Hello, everyone. We'll listen to another episode of Let's Talk Sports with Tim McKain. And today I have the pleasure of interviewing Nathan Vogel. He is actually the head coach of Texas A&M International women's basketball program. How you doing today, sir?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So when did your passion for the game of basketball begin?
I can remember from when I was a little kid and had the Nerf hoop up in the hallway, and the only time I could dunk a basketball was back then. So, but that's when I was really little. When I started, I just loved competing. I loved every sport, quite honestly. And basketball was just one of those. It was easier to work on your own, and just fell in love with the game as a little kid.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Who were some of the basketball players that you looked at and you were like, man, he's so cool. Man, I want to style my game. Like who were some of the athletes that you looked at and you wanted inspired to be like, or you just enjoyed watching?
Well, players I enjoyed watching were ones I could definitely not style my game after. But I love Sean Kemp.
Yeah.
There was not a chance I was going to be able to style my game after him. But, I love it. 90s is kind of when I, really started getting into the game and watching it a lot. So, those kinds of athletic players, but star guys, they're the mop-up guys, the guys that have to play harder than anybody else. I go right away kind of a, little guy that, those types of players that don't get a lot of name recognition, but those are the ones I see because they're exactly like me. I wasn't a overly talented player. The only way I was getting on the court was diving for loose balls.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so when did you what led you to continue to play the game of basketball, even though you weren't, quote unquote, the most talented? Like what drove you to play the game in a way where you had to prove your heart, where you showed your heart, and that's what helped you become successful on the court?
Well, I know, in high school, like my junior year, for example, was part of a really good team, really talented team. And some of my teammates were getting some college looks, and I was getting literally nothing at all. And I knew I wanted to play because, like I mentioned earlier, I love the game and I knew I wanted to play. So I just worked my butt off over the rest of that school year into the summer and then into my senior year, and, improved quite a bit. And then started getting some looks, and, as I started getting those looks, some of the team I ended up playing for, the program I joined, very, very talented program. And so I got excited, about being able to continue that way. And then was fortunate enough to, be on a team that was ranked number 2 in the nation my freshman year. And then I got to start my sophomore through senior years. And so, again, not because I was the most talented player, but, I did some of those little things that maybe some others aren't willing to do. So, it's always fun to be on good teams and play. So.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So when did you realize that you wanted to be a coach, transitioning from a player to a coach?
Yeah, I was really fortunate. I was actually, after I finished playing my senior year of college, I was in the grocery store, and the high school coach in that same town asked if I wanted to join his staff and take on the freshman team. And at that point, I thought that was big time for me, being able to coach and be a varsity assistant and take on the freshman team. I knew I wanted to stay a part of the game. I'm a competitive person, whatever it is, whether it's cards or board games or whatever. And so I knew not being part of basketball as a player was going to be really hard for me. And so the next best thing was being able to compete as a coach. And so I snapped up that opportunity, and that was the start of my coaching career.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so what were some of the early chess matches that you had as a coach, as you will, whether you were an assistant to now a head coach? Like, who were some of the best coaches that you went to head with, game plan versus game plan, in your college coaching career and your high school coaching career?
Yeah, so, well, I was only a head as we move forward, I guess. I was the head high school coach for just a couple of years, for 2 years. And so, I got out of that to become a college coach. My first couple of years as a college coach were volunteer, and so Kevin Carroll was the coach at Maryville University at that point, and just gave me the opportunity to be a college coach, and one of the most intelligent coaches I've ever been around. He knows a lot of stuff. He was a Division I assistant. He's a Division I assistant right now at Lipscomb. So most of my, I guess, chess matches, as you put it, was with the coaching staff that I was with, not necessarily who I was going up against. It was trying to match wits with my head coach and the other assistants on staff, and just trying to stay up to speed with them. I was an assistant for Mark Norrie, who was at Black Hills State, very successful coach. And so again, it wasn't, me trying to outwit the other head coaches initially. It was me just trying to keep up with the head coaches that I was fortunate enough to be an assistant
Yes, sir.
with.
Yes, sir. So I noticed not only are you a great coach, but you also want to make sure wherever program you want to make sure that they are academically sound. Why is it so important for you as a college coach to not only make sure that athletes are great on the court, but they're great off the court?
And I tell my recruits this every time I send a first message to them. The reason is basketball is just not that important. In the big scheme of things, it's just not. It's not that important. And so, when you're done with your career, whether that's after your 4 years of college or, we've had some play professionally, at some point that's going to end. And, I heard your record in 2021 or how many points you scored, 20 years down the road, no one's going to care, quite honestly. And so the academics are something that's going to stay with you. You got to go get a job. You got to do other stuff with your life. That's just more important than basketball is.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely. Not only, a coach isn't not only a head coach. A head coach is a mentor. A head coach is a father figure. What is it like, getting those calls, getting those text messages, those thank you messages from players who look back and say, thank you very much, coach, for the lessons that you taught me that I can carry on to not only a professional career in basketball, but in life in general?
That's why I coach. It's certainly the wins are fun, and there's a reason they keep score. So the wins are fun, but if all my career was just winning and losing, pretty unfulfilling life. And so those calls and texts and all that stuff you just mentioned, that's the entire reason I coach. And those relationships are really important to me, and I stress that to our players and hope those relationships last forever. And then hopefully we win some games along the way as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So you were hired at Texas A&M. Was it 2019 or 2018? 2019, correct?
Yeah, last year was my first year here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So what were some of the things that you did differently to approach the team? Because when I look at your record, I mean, you guys won more games, I believe, in your first season than they did in the past 2 or 3 years. So what was that turnaround process like for you as a coach, but also for the program at Texas A&M International?
Yeah, it was an interesting transition because I was leaving a team where we had just finished 33-1. And I was taking over a program that had won 0 games the previous year. So it was a complete flip-flop situation. Program had won only 5 games the previous 3 years combined. And so, it's a situation, and I know this gets thrown around all the time, but for me, it really is a situation where it's about changing the culture and expectations and standards. Is what it was about. That was step one, is just changing standards and culture. That's really all it was for us. And then obviously you got to get talented players that fit those things, the standards and the culture. But that was the exciting thing for me, trying to get somewhere close to replicating the 33-1 we were the previous year. So I appreciated the challenge. To be really, really honest with you, it was harder than I thought it was going to be. I knew it was going to be, but it was a big challenge. And we took some steps in the right direction. And I think we're continuing to do that this year. But that's the fun part is trying to figure out how to fix things and how to make things better. And ultimately, I think that's what most people are trying to do is leave places better than they found them. And so that's our goal here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What are some of the challenges you and your team has had to overcome due to this pandemic and everything with college basketball, not being able to have fans in the arena with you? What is that like, and what has that like been for your teammates and for your players, for your coaches and your players?
Yeah, I got you. The biggest thing, the fans certainly is a part of it, but the biggest thing for our players and the biggest challenge has been just being able to associate and get out and not, or I should say not being able to do those things, because here at TAMIU, we're not allowing our players to kind of get out and about around town and go out and do dine in at restaurants. We're really trying to keep them in a bubble. We've had 0 positive tests, knock on wood, since the very beginning of school. We haven't had any coaches or players with any positives, which is pretty unique, I think.
Yes,
we keep them in a bubble. We don't let and it's been successful in terms of keeping our players on the court and being able to play games. But it's really hard for the players not being able to get out and do those things that a normal college student usually does. And so that's been the challenge, is just trying to, assess our players' mental health and doing everything we can to help with that. And I'd say that's the biggest challenge above and beyond, fans in the stands and all of that kind of stuff, is just making sure our players are cared for.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, question for you, Nathan. What has the progression been like for you as a coach? So you started originally after you graduated, you got the gig to be an assistant for a high school program. Now you're a head coach at Texas A&M International. What's the progression been like for you as a coach, learning what it means to be a better coach for your players and for future players?
Yeah, and I think, the thing I've probably learned the most is how much I have to learn. 33-1, and you think you kind of got things figured out when you have a year like that, and then we get to TAMIU and we're part of the Lone Star, and you really quickly realize you don't have a clue what's going on, and you talk about your players needing to get better. I found out in a quick hurry how much I had to get better. Not only the X's and O's, but all the stuff with your assistant coaches and administration and all the other stuff that goes along with being a head coach. That's been the biggest challenge, I guess, is just making sure that I continue to do what I need to do to get better. I know coaches all the time harp on, players get in and get extra shots and work on your ball handling, do all those things that you need to do to get better. Well, coaches are no different. We got to continue to get better at what we're doing, not only with the X's and O's, but I think we need to do a good job with relationships with our players and relationships with our administration, and continue to do those types of things.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So what is success to Nathan Vogel? What does success mean to you? And what is success in your definition?
Yeah. I guess it's the broad, definition is being happy. And I think the things that make me happy are good relationships with my players. My players feeling like they're taken care of. Obviously way down the line on that continuum is winning games, but that's way down the line. I think in terms of success, again, I hope I'm not judged on my wins and losses. I hope I'm judged, and what I tell our players is my legacy is ultimately what they become. If they're successful people, then I feel like I've done my job. Times don't seem to go hand in hand, but I hope I win a lot. But if I don't, and my players are successful in life, I feel like I've been successful.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, where can people find you out on social media? And also, is there like a live stream that people can see your team play?
Yeah, so for our team, you can find us on our all our games are live streamed at godesdevils.com. So you can find us on there for games. Personally, most of my stuff is Coach Nate Vogel. So I'm on. You can find me on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. So Coach Nate Vogel, and I love hearing from all kinds of people. You know, I needed a lot of help coming up and getting the jobs I've had and learning what I've had to learn. So happy to help as much as I can. Obviously don't have it all figured out, but I'll certainly help in any way I can with anybody that wants to reach out.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, thank you very much, Coach, for your time. You have a happy new year, and good luck to you this season.
Yeah, happy New Year to you. And again, thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Thank you.